Welcome back. Highlights from an annual ritual here in Washington, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. It's an event where Hollywood celebrities and politicians mingle, and the President of the United States gets to have the last laugh. And last night, President Obama appeared at the dinner for the 7th year in a row and got some big-time zingers in there. Our roundtable is back, and I just want to show some pictures of my evening. I got to see a few celebrities. Well, there's Huma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's assistant. Jane Fonda was sitting at our table last night. That was something else. And I got to meet Julie Bowen from Modern Family. You know, I was checking, and there's Jane Fonda as well. And I was checking, you know, my Twitter feed last night, and posting these pictures just immediately provoked this backlash. There's a lot of people out there who think this stinks, that these celebrities and these politicians and these people in the media should not be doing this. What do you think, Carol?
Well, I'm on the board of the White House Correspondents' Association. I'll be president next year. And I disagree. I think that that's what gets a lot of the focus, obviously. That's what people are interested in. But we do a lot of things that have nothing to do with celebrities or all the parties and the glitz that follow surround the dinner. You know, also last night we honored people who won awards for doing great journalism covering the White House. We have scholarship recipients, the next generation of reporters who
And we featured the Washington Post reporter who is behind bars in Iran right now.
That's right. And we acknowledged everybody in the room who's covering the beat, who is dedicated to this. We talk a lot about transparency and access, which is what we do day in and day out. So once a year, the spotlight is on us and our dinner, and unfortunately, no one wants to take a picture with, sorry, Jeff, but Jeff and me, and I mean, I do, but
yeah.
You know, and they want to take a picture with Jane Fonda, and that's what gets
true.
on Twitter.
And Jeff, you've been to a number of these. Is this obscene, do you think? You know, the New York Times doesn't go to this.
They don't anymore, right? And I was at the New York Times when that decision was made. But look, I think there's a lot of talk about how obscene this is. It's one night. I thought last night's was actually more in check than previous years. Not as many celebrities. There was no Ozzy Osbourne kind of, you know, standing up on a chair and having his way. So I always think the most interesting thing is how the president reacts. We get a great window into what the president is thinking, his frustrations, his humor in this kind of speech. So that's the value that I see in it. And we saw President Bush in '06 coming into that. That was a very funny evening. So I think that's the value in this, seeing his humanity.
I sort of feel like more effort goes into writing the president's jokes at this dinner than maybe some of his policy speeches. I mean, that was a well-crafted work of art last night. Let's show a clip from that, because he had a little anger translation going on, and it was probably the highlight of the evening. Let's toss to that.
Protecting our democracy is more important than ever. For example, the Supreme Court ruled that the donor who gave Ted Cruz $6 million was just exercising free speech.
Yeah, it's the kind of speech like this. I just wasted $6 million.
And it's not just Republicans. Hillary will have to raise huge sums of money, too.
Oh, yeah. She gonna get that money. She gonna get all the money. Khaleesi is coming to Westeros.
Great stuff. Stephanie, the jokes work because, you know, it's funny and it's true.
You know, I think it's the one night where the president can poke fun of himself, poke fun of some of other fellow electeds, but also poke fun at the media. You know, in that regard, it's a good time.
And I talked to a White House official last night who said, you know, the president does relish this opportunity to dish it back at the press. He gets to save up all that frustration over the course of a year. What do you think about this? What did you make of some of those jokes last night? There were a lot of jokes at the expense of Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, and others.
I think the Republicans running for president are all big boys and big girls. I think they can take it. Yeah, I mean, I think that the dinner, to the extent that it becomes this weird spectacle with tons of celebrities, it's kind of an odd note for Washington to hit. But in general, I think this is the story that most Americans are probably not talking about this morning.
They don't really care about us, right? As much as we like to talk about ourselves. And let's throw to another clip from the president talking about Dick Cheney. This clip actually sort of shocked me because I thought, you know, some of these jokes can kind of go close to the edge. This one was right there or maybe went over it. Let's play that clip.
A few weeks ago, Dick Cheney says he thinks I'm the worst president of his lifetime. Which is interesting because I think Dick Cheney is the worst president of my lifetime.
Ouch. That was a zinger. And then there was another one for Hillary Clinton where the president said she's been living out of a van or something like that in Iowa. So, I mean, I guess the subjects of these jokes have to take it in good form, I suppose.
Yes, and most of them seem to, except there was that one year when Donald Trump did not seem to take the, the jokes very well.
Donald Trump was sitting very close to me last night, and he seemed to be enjoying himself a lot more than the last time around during that whole birth certificate controversy. This is one of those opportunities, Jeff, where, if we can't laugh at ourselves, who can we laugh at, right? We have to do it. It's a healthy form of catharsis, I think. For
sure, and the worst thing is probably not being mentioned in this situation. I mean, Martin O'Malley, who's probably running against or for president on the Democratic side, he was mentioned a few times. Even, he was the butt of jokes, but at least he was mentioned. I think the biggest thing is if
some of the best advertising he's had.
Yeah, I mean, there weren't a lot of Jeb Bush jokes in there because a lot of Democrats are concerned about his candidacy. So, I think that by Monday morning, all of us will be back to work, and this is a memory for one more year.
All right, very good, and a good one as well. Carol Lee, Jeff Zeleny, Stephanie Cutter, Kristen Solis Anderson, thank you very much. We appreciate it.